Imagine an empire that raised perfect domes, aqueducts that soared over entire valleys, and roads that still guide cities today. Without engines, without modern steel, without computers. How did they do it? And what if part of that how wasn't lost by accident, but was buried by centuries of neglect and pride? Stick with me, because you're about to discover the silent key behind their eternal concrete, the invisible trick of their aqueducts, and the lesson that could change the way we build today. Welcome to Lost History, where learning isn't a chore, with scenes you won't forget. What's at stake is simple. If you keep seeing Rome as a postcard, you're missing its secret engine. Their power wasn't just legions and laws, it was engineering in the flesh of stone. Losing that knowledge costs us fragile cities, structures that age poorly, and budgets swallowed by time. Dawn on the Appian Way. The low light reveals centuries-old scars on the pavement. On the horizon, an aqueduct's arch casts shadows like fingers. Beneath your feet, layers of stone fit together with the stubbornness of the eternal. In a moment, you'll find out why their roads still breathe, why their concrete gets stronger in the sea, and how an oculus open to the sky holds up the most audacious dome of the ancient world. How did a civilization without steel cranes or reinforced concrete leave behind structures that still defy the centuries? It wasn't magic. It was a chain of material decisions, intelligent geometry, and ruthlessly practical logistics. Here's the part almost no one tells you. Their secret wasn't a single trick, it was a system. The Colosseum, a skeleton of stacked arches, calculated to distribute weight as if they were speaking to each other. Aqueducts, miles of pinpoint precision, with slopes so gentle they look like horizons. The Pantheon, a 142-foot dome that breathes through a 30-foot oculus and counters its own weight with graded materials. Now here's the incredible part. Rome didn't just build big and wide, it built to last and to be repaired. The Roman genius was in the invisible details as much as the monuments. The capstone of a vault is impressive, but it's the drained and leveled foundation that no one sees that holds it up. Did you know? The Romans designed for water before they designed for looks. Where there's no puddle, there's no ruin. And what if I told you that their marine concrete actually heals itself over time thanks to salt water? You'll see in a moment. Roman cement isn't some old wives' tale. It's practical chemistry. Quicklime, aggregate, and volcanic ash. The result? A material that not only hardens, but when it comes into contact with water, especially seawater, it grows crystals that seal microcracks. The sea doesn't kill it. It makes it stronger. Ever wonder about that? Building self-healing ports wasn't poetry. It was economic survival. Picture this. A wooden caisson is sunk into a harbor. Inside, layers of mortar with ash and gravel. As water hits it, the mixture turns to rock. Ports born below sea level. This could change the way you see modern concrete. Fast to set, but brittle within decades. The Roman way was patient and stubborn. Rome tamed water with the slightest of slopes. A controlled drop over dozens of miles, guided by water levels, surveying tools, and a trained eye. Where the terrain dipped into a valley, they built arches. Where the valley was too wide or expensive, they used an inverted siphon, pressurized pipes that ran down and up again, relying on gravity and the strength of the material. Scene. A work crew is cleaning the specus, the channel, removing mineral deposits and roots. If the water flows, the city lives. If it stops, everything grinds to a halt. Here's the part few people tell you. The aqueduct was as much a public work as it was a maintenance schedule. Without cleaning, there is no miracle. Beneath the shining forms ran a dark anatomy, vaulted sewers, manholes, engineered slopes. The Cloaca Maxima isn't a relic, it's a manifesto. It carries out what must go out, drains what destroys foundations, and vents what poisons. The Romans understood that the first rule of architecture is a dry ground. What would you do to keep a neighborhood from flooding in a storm? They answered with vaults, slopes, and maintenance, not with prayers. A good road isn't just stone on top of stone. It's a cross-section, a draining foundation, layers of gravel, a paving surface, curbs, and a crowned top to shed water. The Appian Way, the Flaminian Way, the Augustan Way, they weren't lines on a map. They were arteries for taxes, mail, legions, and trade. How many modern projects fail because of water? Rome knew, if the water leaves, the road stays. Foundations built inside wooden cofferdams, filled with ash concrete that sets underwater. Pointed cutwaters to break the current and protect the piers. Arches that transfer forces to the abutments. Nothing is by chance. Every stone is cut, every keystone is wedged, every joint is designed not to fail when the river roars. A rainy winter swells a river. The cutwaters break the force of the water. The arch smiles. The deck vibrates but doesn't yield. Downstream, a modern beam bridge twists. The wrong century learned its lesson too late. Roads, ports, bridges, warehouses, a network that could feed a city of 1 million mouths. Ventilated granaries, standardized amphorae for oil and wine, controlled weights and measures. A road isn't valued for its stone, but for what it moves. Here's the part almost no one tells you. The standard is a tool as powerful as the arch. If all the amphorae fit in the same storage racks, the empire saves centuries of man-hours. The arch isn't just pretty. It distributes loads to the sides and allows for wide open spans. Rome combined them in vertical and horizontal series, creating three-tiered structures like symphonies of compression. When you add a barrel vault or a groin vault, you get rooms where the space no longer depends on tightly packed columns, but on a working skin of stone. What do you think was the breakthrough that allowed them to go from rectangular halls to giant bathhouses without a forest of pillars? Exactly. Arches and vaults working together. The Pantheon's dome looks like a miracle, but it's pure technique. Its thickness tapers toward the top, the aggregate gets lighter and lighter, heavy stone at the bottom, pumice at the top, coffers that reduce weight without sacrificing rigidity, and an oculus that doesn't just let in light. It relieves loads, ventilates, and allows the dome to flex without breaking. Rainwater comes in and is carried away by invisible slopes and drains. What looks like aesthetics is engineering. And here's the incredible part. That dome, with no steel and no rebar, is still standing because everything in it is about gradient and balance. There isn't just one material. There's a recipe that changes with the height. Baths that heated the floor with underfloor chambers. Furnaces that pumped hot air through pipes in the walls. Villas cooled by courtyards, shade, thick walls, and moving water. Architecture that tamed the climate without electricity. Ever wonder about that? Roman luxury was thermal silence. Brick for things that required modules and rhythm. Stone where you needed inertia and nobility. Wood for the formwork that would later disappear. Metal where you needed point-specific tension with dovetail clamps and hidden lead and iron ties. The what mattered less than the where and how much. Lesson number 1, the right material in the right amount in the right place. The recipe for concrete with volcanic ash was gradually lost as the routes to the quarries on the Italian peninsula were cut off. The obsession with maintenance died when the empire fragmented. Vaults became suspect when tastes changed, and aqueducts were dismantled as free quarries. Knowledge without an institutional network simply evaporates. The Romans wrote a great deal, but the hands that could read it no longer existed where it mattered. On the construction site. A manual without the craft is just a fossil. Concretes that last longer in marine environments, inspired by the Romans. Urban drainage systems that copy their gentle slopes. Buildings that regulate temperature with courtyards and thermal mass. It's not nostalgia, it's efficiency. This could change how you plan a coastal city, a rainy neighborhood, or a museum without wasteful air conditioning. What if a highway could last 200 years with proper drainage and the right layers? What would you do with the budgets that today are spent on redoing the same thing every decade? Rome didn't think in quarterly reports. It thought in seasons, years, and the posterity of a public work that was both propaganda and service. That mix of vanity and function produced things that are still useful to us. Did you know? One of their best ideas was to design for repair. Replaceable parts, access points, inspection shafts. Greatness is also about maintenance. Let's recap. The lost knowledge isn't some secret spell book. It's a combination of practical chemistry, geometries that work in compression, drainage that thinks ahead of the water, logistical standards, and a culture of maintenance. Rome built infrastructure that aged with dignity because it understood that the enemy wasn't time. It was mismanaged water, poorly directed loads, and improvisation. Your reward for staying until the end. Now you can read Rome like a blueprint. When you see an arch, you'll see forces looking for a home. When you walk on a Roman road, you'll think of the layers that drink the rain. When you stand under the dome of the Pantheon, you'll know that it floats because its weight has been tamed by gradients and voids. And when people talk to you about progress, you'll wonder if moving forward isn't also about looking back. The Roman legacy isn't ruins, it's a method. To look at materials with humility, to listen to the water, and to accept that beauty is the daughter of a well-resolved load. If we build with that mindset, maybe our cities will become less fragile and more honest. If you enjoy these deep dives where learning isn't a chore, like this video, and subscribe to Lost History. Every day, a new historical journey with scenes you won't forget.